Good morning, everyone. This is Jeremy here at ExtremeWeatherTracker.com, updating your tropical weather at 10 a.m. on August the 10th, 2012. The tropics remain active. We have the remnants of Ernesto here over southern Mexico. The low-level circulation has become somewhat ill-defined. Really can't even see it anymore on satellite imagery due to the mountainous terrain here. Some of the models are showing that the mid-level circulation will drift into the eastern Pacific here and reform into a new tropical cyclone. But basically, Ernesto has done what it's going to do and is causing some very heavy rainfall and some flash flooding over the mountainous terrain of southern Mexico. As we turn our attention back to the Atlantic, we have a tropical wave located here in the western Caribbean here, in association also with an upper level low located here. This should drift off to the north and west. No significant chance for development at this time due to unfavorable conditions here in the eastern Gulf of Mexico and western Caribbean. Of more importance, we have Tropical Depression 7 located here in the central Atlantic, and this is moving very quickly off to the west at about 20 miles per hour. And also we have Invest 93L that you can't see located here right close to the Cape Verde Islands. I want to talk about Tropical Depression 7 mainly today because that'll probably be the next feature that everybody will be watching. Continues to struggle. Anytime a cyclone is moving this quickly, it will have trouble with intensification. Also, as you can see on the satellite imagery, all these yellow colors in this area here, all this dry air is being ingested into the system. It's also a very broad area of circulation, so although it has detached itself from the ITCZ zone down here, it still continues to struggle, and I believe it will continue to struggle, especially after entering the Caribbean, could possibly even dissipate. If we go to our water vapor loop, you can see what I was talking about with the dry air. All of these orange colors that you see out ahead of the storm here is the dry air that's in this area of the world, and being ingested into the system causes it not to develop very quickly. Although some intensification is possible over the next few days, I do believe that Tropical Depression 7 will continue to struggle in this area of the world, although could be a surprise later on down the road. If it gets into this area of the world, it possibly could encounter some conditions that are more favorable for development. Now, if we look at the National Hurricane Center's track for Tropical Depression 7, they do have it becoming a tropical storm, and that is very possible over the next 24 to 48 hours, as it will encounter a little bit more conducive environment for development, an area with a little bit lighter shear in the 5 to 10 knot range, and they are keeping it a tropical storm all the way through the eastern and central Caribbean, which I believe is a bit generous at this point. I believe somewhere in this area we may see Tropical Depression 7, which could be Tropical Storm Gordon at that point, dissipate altogether, or it'll become a remnant low in this area due to unfavorable conditions. But the National Hurricane Center rather, is keeping it the intensity at a tropical storm at this point, and we shall see if that will play out. Now, if we look at the models for Tropical Depression 7 here, there is still quite a large spread of models. The UK Met is still wanting to take it northward. Some of the BAMS models still, that's the statistical model, still wanting to take this north of the islands, and I believe they have a bit of a poleward bias, as they did with Ernesto that we saw down here at this point. Tropical Depression 7 looking much like Ernesto did at this point, but you can see the National Hurricane Center track taking this basically south of Jamaica, south of the Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Puerto Rico over the next few days, and the majority of the model envelope do agree with this scenario, bringing it south of the islands. So I believe at this point, without further strengthening and intensification, with this staying a weak system, I do believe that this will stay south of the islands, at least in the short term. So we'll see what happens. Now, turning our attention to Invest 93L, I apologize. You can see that most model runs recurve this out to sea, so we'll see later on if Bermuda perhaps needs to pay attention to Invest 93L. It has some rather vigorous circulation with it, at least at the mid levels, and it's forecast to move west-northwest over the next few days around the periphery of this high pressure system that's located over the Atlantic, and but most likely will recurve before reaching any landmass. So we'll see what happens with this system. But for in the short term, Tropical Depression 7 will be our greatest concern. The Lesser Antilles Islands here needs to definitely be on alert for tropical storm force conditions coming up over the next few days, as they will be the first to be impacted, and we shall see from there where the system ends up taking its track, whether it follows the Ernesto into South America or whether it recurves and affects some landmass here in the Gulf of Mexico later on down the road. We'll see what happens. Both the GFS and the European model are basically dissipating the system or bringing it back down to an open wave here in the Caribbean, and this has been a dead zone this year. The trade winds in this area of the world are fairly high, although the water temperatures are warm, which could balance that out. But we'll see what ends up happening as Tropical Depression 7, could be future Tropical Storm Gordon, makes its way to the west-northwest and into the Caribbean, and we'll need to watch this over the next several days to see what happens down the road. Once again, this is Jeremy here at ExtremeWeatherTracker.com. Hope you all have a great day.